can do anything with it, especially out here. I mean, you can fish it shallow, you can fish it deep, you can fish it during a nor'easter. A lot of my bigger fish have come on bucktails.
As far as I know, nobody used bucktails out there. They might have used them, maybe chagwang or something, I don't know. But if they were fishing for bass or blues, I didn't see anybody use bucktails. We all used darters, poppers, and Adam 40s, that sort of thing. Darters and poppers particularly.
I don't even remember seeing guys using bucktails, because I know when I was in front of the lighthouse, we were throwing J8s and counting to 10 to let them sink to the bottom, and I was pulling fish. It wasn't until Richie started going out with the bucktails, Richie Andrews, and killing the fish with the bucktails, and then everyone started using the bucktails in front of the lighthouse.
I tell you the truth, probably the late 80s, 89 or 90 is the first time that I started using the bucktails out here. And until this day, many of the old timers, they won't use it. Percy Heat couldn't stand the bucktail. Even Wilco Joe, Frankie McCann, they really didn't like using a bucktail. But they had to. I mean, they catch fish, and there's no doubt about it.
I was under the light fishing darters with a few other people, and Richie came down. He's throwing this white thing out in the water, and all of a sudden, no one's catching nothing. Richie gets like a 30-pound bass, then another one, and everybody's looking at him and seeing what he's fishing with. You know, everybody's really curious. What the hell does he have there? You know, I'm sure maybe there was bucktails before, but I don't think they were ever used under the light. You know, it was probably a sin to you know, because we fish mostly at night, so no one. But it seemed like first light with a high tide in the morning, which was the case when Rich was there, turned out to be one of the best times to bucktail in Montauk. And when Rich was done, everybody went over to him and, you know, looking at this thing, you know, and everything, and they followed it back to his car. And Richie was in the business. And I guess he was from South Jersey, so I think bucktails had caught on back on the jetties in Cape May and stuff. And he brought them out to Montauk. And he went back and he had a lot of bucktails and he handed them out. He gave people bucktails and everybody started using them. And then Johnny found out about it and, you know, got in touch with Rich and got a big order of bucktails in, and they sold, and people kept coming back for more and more, and it turned out to be the plug to have around Montauk.
Now, actually, the person who gave me my first bucktail to use on the beat was Jack E. And we were at North Bar, and he said, "Hey, Vito, try this." And yeah, try it. And I tried it, and I caught a few fish. And yeah, I kind of fell in love with it, and I own a couple of hundred now, I guess.
When I got to Montauk, we fished plugs. There really wasn't a lot of daytime action back in those days. It was the fish that came through in the daytime were the little schools of bluefish. We'd catch them on poppers and on a few plugs, but we didn't fish bucktails, and we didn't fish for bass in the daytime. It was several years of fishing Montauk before I caught my first bass in the daytime. There was very little daytime fishing back in those days.
We never used bucktails in front of the lighthouse in the nighttime. It was all plugs, bottle plugs and darters. That were the only things that was done in the nighttime.
I remember a day we were on the south side in May, I don't know, going back like 10 years ago. And this area used to be hot if we got a nor'easter. Big water, and we're throwing, well, I was alone. I'm throwing 1.5 ounce bucktails, and I started getting hits, switched to a 3/4 ounce, and man, oh man, I had I can't remember, it was 3, it might have been 4. I'll call it 4 because it's 3, you know. I call it 4 fish over 40, and I had a bunch of 30s that day. It was unfriggin' real. I had fish that couldn't even stop, all because of the bucktail. You couldn't throw anything else out there. You know, now they got the wild eyes and they got the shad bodies. They're good too, but man, nothing holds like a bucktail. You know, you can do so much with the plug. I don't know what I'd be lost without it.
I stopped fishing heavily at Montauk after the '75 season, and only went out a couple of times after that. And I didn't find out that they were using bucktails until years later, probably in the late 80s, early 90s.
What whitebait bucktails stand on in their own. And being that there's less and less night fishing now, you know, it's getting to be all bucktails.
There was several 50s caught under the light of bucktail. I never got, you know, I think the biggest fish I ever got in a bucktail period is about 30 pounds, but There was a lot of 50s. People got their 50s on a bucktail.